Welcome to the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals new and improved podcast series featuring great discussions, insight, and resources on all things related to education and administration.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MASSP podcast series. My name is Ryan Cayce, and as always, I am joined by my collaborator on the podcast series, Theresa Stager from Saline High School. How are you doing, Theresa?
I am doing great. How are you, Ryan?
I am doing well. I am excited for a lot of things, especially tonight's topic on student leadership. And tonight we have one of my fellow colleagues from the MASSP office joining us, Matt Alley. How you doing, Matt?
Very well. Happy to be here. Happy to talk a little bit more about a topic that's very important to myself, important to our membership, more importantly, important to all the schools across the state of Michigan, which is student leadership.
Matt, before we get going real quick, can you just share exactly what your role is at MASSP?
My direct title for MASSP is Director of Student Services. So I actually handle all of the resource development and the programs we run for the student side of MASSP. And specifically that falls under being the director of the Michigan Association for Student Councils and Honor Societies.
Awesome. And you were able to get two special guests to join the podcast with us, and you want to introduce them?
Yeah, it's a conversation that obviously I can have, I could run, but it doesn't mean as much unless we're bringing more people into the conversation. So I was very lucky to reach out to two colleagues of mine who are very involved in the student leadership side. So we have Jessica Lupone, who is the advisor for Bloomfield Hills High School, joining us, and then we're also lucky enough to have my student Board of Delegates, Blake Prebay. He's the president of the Michigan Student Board of Delegates, joining us today as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica and Blake, for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So it's a full house today, which is amazing, and I cannot wait to hear all of the wisdom you're going to share with us on this fantastic topic. So let's go ahead and get started. Why do you feel student leadership is so important for a building's culture?
Well, I can answer that. I think that what student leadership does is it allows to build a much closer relationship and cooperation amongst the students, the faculty, the administration, and the community as a whole. I think the most important part of student leadership is that it really gives students a voice. And I think schools that really value student leadership show students that they're respected as contributors. And I think when students feel valued, they're really able to be engaged in promoting positive school culture, which, can be shown through all sorts of inclusive activities and events and community service and community outreach. So I think it's really vital for a positive school culture.
Yeah, and adding to that a little bit more, building off what Jessica was saying, a culture itself is predicated on the people that make up that environment. When we're talking about a school system, our culture is in direct correlation of our students, of our student body. So when we can put programs and resources in place that empower student voice, students advocating for one another, you can really see a building culture start to shift based on the mindset that's already built into that population. So by taking our young students and really building them up and teaching them some of those key concepts, some of that fundamental curriculum pieces that come along with leadership training, leadership qualities. They lean on one another. They create new programs, new concepts. They get more people involved. And that's when you see some of that growth mindset start to kick in just from the student perspective. How they carry themselves through the hallway, how they network with one another, and working on some of those fundamental skill sets that they're really going to carry with them through the rest of their lives.
I actually think I have a couple unique additions I could add, because when I entered high school, I was not a part of student leadership. I actually joined my sophomore year at my high school. So going in freshman year, student leadership for me, because I had a few friends who was more of like a opportunity to bring your grade and your school together through different events or community service, as they've already said. But it really was just an amazing opportunity to get the whole school involved and like participating in the same activity. And then when I joined student leadership, like Matt said, I know kids across the entire state that I've met through student leadership that I can talk to on a daily basis and ask for ideas or just ask for advice. So it really is an amazing opportunity to make great connections and relationships that can last you an entire lifetime, I'm hoping.
That's awesome.
It is a very strong network, that's for sure. It's a very strong network.
So what are some different ways that students can be involved in leadership opportunities in their school?
I can take that one. So I guess it really varies based on how far or how in depth the students themselves want to take it. But you could start as simply just a participant in the activities. Like, you don't need to have a title or a role in student leadership to be involved. You can attend the different events at your school, helping support charities, helping support your class, just having a good time with others. But if you want to take a more active role, most schools, I'm not sure, I can't really speak to all of them, but there is a process to applying or just joining a student leadership group. And from there, you can have the opportunity to actually plan or facilitate those activities or help run the spirit weeks. And then beyond that, you can obviously join higher levels of your council or eventually try to get to a state level, like I happen to be fortunate enough to be on, where you get to help plan and provide like a guide for those councils. So I would just say, depending on how in depth you want to go and how passionate you are about it, you can go anywhere from participating or just being involved to helping run potentially your entire school's events and activities.
And what Blake's absolutely touching on is absolutely right. There's all kinds of leadership opportunities in the school system. Specifically when we're talking about student councils and honor societies. There's pep clubs, there's key clubs. But when we look at this idea of student leadership and leadership in general, it's really a universal topic. Leadership opportunities exist in sports. They exist in the classroom. Students can get involved in a leadership role being in the lunchroom, sitting down with a new group of students they've never talked to before. Their leadership roles in their peer mentoring programs, or if they're going to go off and be a student tutor. Leadership opportunities exist in every single school across the state. Now, there's specific programs they can get involved in. There's leadership curriculum classes they can take. But this idea of leadership is really, I think that's what makes it so much fun. It's a universal topic that we can sit down with any student in any grade, and we can build some of these finer points and try to expose, where these leadership opportunities exist, every hour of every day.
Right, Matt. I was going to say that I really think, like Blake said, it's about getting involved. It's about getting involved in all sorts of activities, and even just about being a positive role model, like you said, within the lunchroom, within the classroom. I mean, there are small leadership opportunities that students can get involved in on a daily basis. It might not be a big activity or being a member of the student council or whatever that may be. But really, there are many, many opportunities and clubs and organizations that students can get involved in where they can have leadership opportunities.
I completely agree. And Blake's a special kid. I mean, Blake's involved in a lot of things, takes a lot of leadership roles. But one of the things I know personally, because I've worked with Blake, and I'll brag about him a little bit, is one of his goals in his leadership role is to get fellow students to understand that they don't have to have a position of power. They don't have to be involved in some type of program to make a difference. So he's trying to build that group morale, and he's trying to inspire other students to help all row in the same direction, whether they have a title, whether in a certain club. It's all about making those connections so the entire student body is on the same page.
Yeah, what I like to say, and it's actually something like a precursor to an opening speech, is I like to say, in my opinion, leadership isn't about a title, it's about the impact. And it doesn't matter where that impact is going, but making an impact is what it's all about.
That's awesome, Blake. I like how you put that. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys mentioned, because I would have to imagine some people are hesitant getting involved in student leadership or joining certain clubs or groups at their school because they think, oh man, I don't have 5 hours extra a week to dedicate to running as a vice president of this or the manager or organizer of that. And so I really appreciate the fact that you said there's little, small, simple things that they can do that's built right into their day that still have a positive impact on their building and their student body.
Right. It's about just impacting one other person. And I think that then can have kind of a ripple effect.
Let's jump into the mentorship part of this. So when we're talking about groups in schools, I know we have an organizer, a mentor in the building that I'm in. How is the student leadership organizer or mentor involved in this process?
Well, do you want to go? Go ahead.
Okay. I would say that it obviously can vary mentor or advisor to advisor. But what I've really found is that in the times where it's really thrived is when the advisor is a guide instead of like a teacher. They're not trying to like tell you how to do it or what to do, but they're trying to give you the opportunity to find it out yourself. Because a big thing about student leadership is like becoming, like improving yourself and being better and finding out and learning things on your own. So typically what I've seen is a lot of the best student advisors and mentors are just helping you along that path and not trying to force you.
Right, I agree. I mean, I think, as an advisor, what I try to do is really provide support for the students to be successful, to be more of a facilitator or a coach. I think teaching basic leadership skills is important, especially, when you're talking to maybe freshmen or students that might not have as much experience in leadership roles. But really it's about, really just being that facilitator and helping students find what they're passionate about or what, the events and that they want to try or the community service that they want to try and really helping to guide them in the right direction and helping them kind of to see their potential in that way.
I completely agree. The best programs, the top programs that we see across the state are when we have an advisor in place that knows how to push their students and direct their students, but doesn't take over an event or doesn't take over a concept, doesn't try to, take some type of large program and do all of the work. The best programs know this is a growth opportunity for the students. And you can get more from a growth perspective from a bad loss than an easy win. And that's where we see a lot of the students really come to their own. They get more out of that experience if they're taking charge from day one, and they're learning some of those key concepts, those key skill bases, and then they can really put that into place. As they work towards finishing high school, as they work towards applying to jobs and applying for college and scholarships and moving out into the workforce or into the college atmosphere. That's where we see a lot of the big growth come in.
Right, Matt, I agree with you. And I think that, with those failures, a lot of times that's actually more beneficial because you get to have those conversations when you debrief, those reflective conversations where you can then learn and you can kind of take what you've learned and really put it into your next event to kind of better that. So I think sometimes those conversations when an event or an activity or something actually does fail, being able to guide students in a way that they can reflect and then use what they've learned from their failure to better the next thing that they're going to do.
So one thing that's been on my mind is I'm thinking about maybe whether it's students or advisors or just schools, principals that maybe aren't on Twitter or aren't following all the things going on with MASSP or MAHS. Can you just share what are some of the really cool things that student leadership groups are doing around the state? Because I would imagine people who aren't involved in this stuff naturally think, oh, they're just coming up, we need to find a new Spirit Week theme. That's what our student council does. This is the big event of the year, is homecoming. I'm sure that's a big part of it, but what are some of the other cool things that these students are stepping up to the plate to lead with in their buildings? So
have you not been checking your Snapchat, Ryan?
I have not.
Okay.
I apologize.
So it's actually quite remarkable to hear about, the dozens of unique and different programs that are happening around Michigan just this year alone. Last month, we just got done hosting our regional event programs. Those entail a lot of different schools coming together and sharing a lot of these different program ideas and how other schools can bring those concepts back to their own school. I watched presentations on student mentor programs, safe teen driving programs, anti-vaping campaigns, There's even a program that was started as a support group for students that have a mentally ill sibling. Allowing students to learn some of these really specialized programs allows them to not only take these complete ideas back to their school and put into place in their culture, but seeing these programs also sparks their own creativity. They look for a need in their school, and after they identify that need, they sit down with other leaders and they say, what can we do to kind of fill this gap and to fill this void? And that's when that program creation mindset starts to kick in, and they can start to identify these gaps and begin planning on how to address them. So that's truly how a building can start to shift and mold their culture, getting students out there, seeing what programs are available, seeing these unique concepts take form. I think a lot of times when you look at the initial concept of student leadership, you might think homecoming, prom, dances, the spirit weeks. And it really does a disservice to the hard work, the energy, and the passion that our advisors, our students are putting into place, because it's so much more than that. Not only are the kids themselves, if they're involved in these leadership programs, getting skills, like I mentioned before, that will impact their lives immediately and throughout the rest of their life, they're also impacting the entire school system itself. So it's really this unique and special duality where it's a win-win on both sides.
I will say that you just listed off some examples of what kids are doing, and my principal ears just perked up and got really excited, because I think every principal would take one of those ideas, if not all of those ideas, like tomorrow, if they had some students who could bring some ideas back. So
I think I listed 4 or 5 off the top of my head. From a regional perspective, we ran 8 regionals across the state. We had over 80 presentations that were submitted.
That's awesome.
Each one of those is unique. It's impactful. The presentations themselves are led by student leaders. So it's a peer-to-peer connection. They're talking about the program concepts. They talk about how they evaluated the program, how they plan to rerun it, and then how a school could take it back. I mean, these are all concepts the kids have been working on all year long that they're excited to present about, and they want to show the difference that their program can make.
One of the I think really cool things that we do at Bloomfield Hills High School is our student leaders do what we call an individualized leadership project, where their goal is really to raise awareness and provide some sort of service or and community outreach to a community of their choice. So we've done some really amazing things. And one of the things that we're doing coming up in the spring is we're doing a mental health awareness week, and where we have a bunch of speakers that are coming in, former students who have struggled with mental illness coming in to speak about their struggles. And so we've got a lot of really cool things going on with these projects that these kids spend an entire year really working on, and they get to do something that they're really passionate about and reach out to a community that they're very passionate about. So it's really nice and rewarding to see how our students can really provide this service to others.
Very cool.
So talking about MASP and MAHS, why should administrators want their students and leaders involved in this?
I think for starters, rewind the tape about 8 minutes. I think there's a lot of good points that we brought up. From an association standpoint, one of the largest points of pride that we've established in my 6 years with the association is just the ridiculous amount of value that we try to provide our student and our advisor members. And this value is distributed in a number of different ways. We have our monthly advisor-driven newsletter. We push out a monthly advisor checklist to keep track of trends, time of year, information that's sensitive for the time of year, information to get in front of. We have digital resource packets for leadership curriculum activities and course programs. We manage an online sharing database called the Trading Post, where advisors can come in and look at other programs and ideas that were submitted from advisors from across the state. That could be community service, school-wide events, fundraising. And we have the other side of operations, which is offering over 30 programs a year. These programs include our week-long summer camp. We get 500 kids from across the state to hang out with us for an entire week to work on some of this fundamental and intensive leadership training. And then we get up to our largest event, which is our Student State Leadership Conference, which sees over 2,000 students from 100 schools across Michigan. So with everything we do, we want to provide our student advisor members with resources, experiences, networking opportunities, and the overall vision that we're all on the same team. We all have the same goals. We want to see successful schools, successful students, and successful leadership programs.
Yeah, from a student's perspective, I just want to say if there are any administrators that are currently listening to this, debating about getting into student leadership, I can say that there's truly nothing I've done in high school or my entire life up to this point that I've valued as much as I have getting involved in student leadership. I've attended the summer camp for 2 years, and I've gone to numerous of like different conferences throughout the year, and there really is nothing like this. Like, it has helped mold me into the person I am today, and I'm confident that had I not gone down this path, I don't know what I'd be doing right now, but I can guarantee you it wouldn't be as impactful as what I am.
I agree. As an advisor, I think, MASC has really allowed me to really grow and the networking, being able to work with Matt, to work with the other advisors, not only in our county, but in the entire state. Hearing ideas, being able to bounce ideas off of each other. It really is an amazing network of people who have amazing ideas, wonderful advice and criticism, and it's really allowed me to grow as an advisor and as a leader in my building, for sure.
And one of the things that we see from an association standpoint, the average lifespan of a high school advisor is about 2.5 years, and we attributed that to a couple of different variables, but they both evolve around this idea that there's not enough training available. There's not enough networking opportunities. A lot of times, once you get an advisor in place, it's usually a first or second year teacher where a principal would reach out and say, hey, we really need someone to fill this role. And after they're put into place, they don't have the support, they don't have the training, they feel like they're kind of left out on an island. So what we've tried to do from an association standpoint is to give them more information and resources than they could ever want, to give them a place where they belong, where they can network, where they can bounce ideas off one another, and really make sure that the people that we get into those roles are going to be there for a long time. Because that's how you see that program growth. That's how you see strong student leaders being kicked out of those programs. So we want to make sure we're supporting our advisors from the ground up. If you're a first or second year advisor, we can get you started with some very basic concepts, some program orientation materials to make sure you have a systematic approach. You could be a very seasoned advisor like Jessica, and we want to expand some of your roles and expand some of your programs and really try to help take it to the next level, to bring in a lot of our keynote speakers for advisors to talk about the legality in advising, to talk about what's going on from a national level, really trying to provide something for everybody. And we've had a lot of success and some national recognition for the programs that we've put into place so far.
Right. I mean, I think being an advisor is the most rewarding and most exhausting job in a high school, for sure. And really, without the support of the MASC organization and Matt and the other advisors and the network that we have, I wouldn't have lasted 14 years. It's tough, and you need to lean on those people. We need that support.
What a wealth of knowledge from the three of you. What a great episode. I can't imagine how anyone would listen to this and not want to just jump into MASC and see what's available. This is wonderful. But just for the three of you, how can our listeners get a hold of you if they have questions or they want to know more?
One of the things that I'm hoping we'll do with the podcast, we'll put out our website link, my contact information. Obviously I can be found under the same employee umbrella as Ryan. I'm always happy to reach out and have that conversation of what these programs would look like in your school and how we can get you rolling. It's something that we really feel, and I'll speak for both Jessica and Blake, we really feel passionate that these types of programs and these types of experiences should be open to all students. And we do everything we can to make that happen. We provide a year-long membership for $120 for the entire year. That covers all of your advisors, it covers your principals, covers your students. You can have as many people you want on that membership itself, and then you start immediately receiving all these resources. It's a great opportunity to explore, and obviously we have a lot of individual conversations, individual program concepts that principals reach out and want to discuss, or advisors want to reach out and discuss, and we're there to help and consult with not just myself but our entire network of advisors across the state, which is a huge added bonus.
Well, I just want to, as we're wrapping up, first and foremost, just say thank you to the three of you, to Matt, Jessica, and Blake for joining us. I know you guys, sounds like you have a pretty busy schedule as it is, so taking a half hour to chat with us on the computer means a lot. And thank you, as always, to my co-host and partner in crime, Theresa Stager, for joining as always. Season 3.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Season 3 of the MASSP podcast is underway. We're about 5 episodes in. If you want to check out the latest podcasts or previous ones, you can head on over to the new MASSP.com website, and also get involved. Check us out on Twitter. You can follow at MASSP or at Principal Stager, and we push out the podcast that way. So hopefully you'll get some more coming in before the end of the school year here. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great day.